Out there in YouTube land, Dan here from Geekcast Radio doing another comic book review. This time I will reviewing Black Badge #1, brought to us by Boom Studios, written by Matt Kindt, art by Tyler Jenkins, and coloring by Hillary Jenkins. And I talked about earlier this week how I was highly anticipating Hot Lunch Special, and right there with that anticipation was Black Badge #1. And the reason for that was because how much I really love Grass King as a series. I was rooting for it, hoping it would win the Eisner for Best New Series. It didn't. I was sad to see that series end, but I thought its actual final issue was one of my favorite issues of the year so far. And the hurt, the pain of that issue ending, or that series ending, didn't hurt too much, knowing that we were getting a new series by that same creative team coming up called Black Badge #1. And I went into this not knowing anything about it, not really having any clue outside the fact that I saw the cover, saw that we have Boy Scouts, and in the background we see a stealth bomber and some other aircraft, and I'm wondering, like, what is that? What exactly are they caught in between some sort of war games? Or are they just at an air show? What exactly is going on? And I do try to avoid spoilers, but they're just learning the premise might in fact be somewhat of a spoiler, so just be forewarned. I'll ultimately say this gets a huge seal of approval for me. If you're a person who loves Grass Kings, if you like other Matt Kidd stuff like Mind Management, I think you will probably enjoy this as well. It's not cerebral as much as that, but I think the characters are there, and it certainly has a very authentic feel to it, and a very timeless feel to it in a way as well. It's in large part due to the art of Tyler Jenkins. But what we learn is Black Badge is an actual badge in the Boy Scouts, but like Fight Club, we don't talk about Black Badge. No one really knows how you get it or what exactly it means, but we're dealing with this Boy Scout troop, and what's great about it is right away, we see these Boy Scouts in South Korea, kind of on their own, which is kind of weird. Right from the beginning, getting some establishment of who they are, and that's one thing I think that this book did really well, for the most part, is kind of establishing these four characters, and utilizing the premise of this book to kind of give an understanding of who they are. We have Willie, for example, who seems to be mostly the vice for the audience. That's Willie right here, as he's new to this group, and we kind of learn his story, and that's really the character we learn the most about. And what we learn is this Boy Scout troop is not just any normal Boy Scout troop. They are this kind of the special forces, literally, a way of the actual Boy Scouts, where they're set on this mission to go into North Korea to do this mission, and they think, being Boy Scouts, being younger kids, people will dismiss them, not take them seriously, or not think twice about a bunch of kids on a canoe, outside of anyone else that might try to go undercover. The other key to the issue, what I think was fantastic about it, was the coloring by Hillary Jenkins. It was phenomenal. So much to enjoy. I like Grass King's art a great deal, but the coloring in this seems so much more pointed, so much more well defined, and there's just some sequences in this that are absolutely gorgeous. Like I mentioned here, this one sequence next to the fire, phenomenal. It was, I could just, the ember glow, the blending, it's the watercolor feel to it. It's gorgeous to look at. I just loved looking at just how it was laid out. The luscious background, it was phenomenal. And Tyler Jenkins' art has at times it feels very 60s-esque, like aesthetic to it, especially with the clothing design, and but it also has like a timeless quality. So this story could be taking place today or 40 years ago, but it is taking place in current times. And we see them kind of going through this, and we learn what brought them here, kind of what they had to do and to endure, to come here, and kind of their mission. And we learned a little bit more about each character. And I do wonder, like, as I'm going through this, my one question was, what is this book trying to say? What is the purpose of telling this story? And it's still early on yet, but I'm wondering if what it's getting at, dealing with something directly of seeing the burden that we're putting on our youth, knowing that we have all these wars that they'll eventually have to pick the pieces up of, conflicts that they didn't really start, and going with something like Korea, which obviously has been a conflict for generations at this point, and how now it's dealing with directly actually taking children, kids who are not old enough to drive, and having them actually have to take part in it. So I don't know if that's what it's getting at, kind of trying to take kind of the world setting as we are right now, just expanding upon that and basically kind of taking it one step further. I'm not sure, but I feel like we'll probably learn more as the story goes on. We certainly see kind of these kids, and what they have to face, and they in a way feel beaten down. It's like you're taking Stand By Me, and kind of that group's dynamic, and placing it within like I lost my train of thought. Apocalypse Now type of setting, and taking basically kids throughout that journey, and it works. It oddly works. Again, this coloring is just gorgeous to look at. That's just such a great page. Such a phenomenal book to really enjoy and really kind of let it sit in. And like with Grass Kings, it's not in a hurry really to get anywhere. There are some big moments that happen here and there, but it's not necessarily about the flashy. It's just telling its story. So I found it really fascinating. And what I really found interesting too, and this page is a good example of this, is where Tyler Jenkins often places the camera. Had me thinking back to something like E.T. With E.T., Steven Spielberg shot everything at the perspective of the kids, so we're kind of on the same level of them. Here, the camera's often above them, and we're looking down. And I'm not 100% certain the purpose behind it, but it had me thinking, like, when you're looking, is it showing the burden that's above them, like that is, the metaphorical burden that's holding them, or the fact that we are above them looking down, how the parental kind of aspect of looking down at kids that are in conflict that might come out. I'm not sure, but I found it an interesting choice that it happens. It's not constant, it's not all the time, but there are other pages. I'm trying to pick one that doesn't. There's a big moment here and there, and I don't necessarily want to spoil it, but it does often feel that we're here and there we tend to be higher than they are. They're lower on the page, which I found was an interesting choice. And I don't know if that's something that considering, or if I'm putting something putting something there that's not actually meant to be there. But again, a phenomenal looking book. Really has a lot of promise. And if you like Grass Kings, if you like, if you want something that's a little bit different, I don't know if this was necessarily, even though it deals with kids, if it would be quote unquote an all ages book. I think, anyone above the age of 12, 15 or so would probably dig it, but I don't know, since it is rather slow moving, it's, it's not written, I think, towards the audience that actually exists within the book. I think it's certainly written for old men like myself, in a way. So I really dug this, and it hit, again, my personal sensibilities. Again, some people might think it's maybe not fast enough or too slow, or I don't know, but I thought, like, it has everything I liked about Grass Kings. Maybe, it's not focused on one location, but really enjoying what Matt Kindt's been putting out there as a writer. He has this going on. He has Exo Manor War. Very different book, but he's a very versatile writer. I think really one of the more underrated writers today. And I think Tyler Jenkins is one of the more underrated artists. So I'm hoping this book, and I'm glad Grass Kings got its Eisner, so hopefully that recognition will bleed into Black Badge #1, because I certainly give it a huge seal of approval. Definitely check it out, and hopefully, if you did enjoy it, let me know. If you didn't enjoy it, let me know, and let me know what your issues were in the comment section below. But that's it for me for this week. Just remember, comics are for everyone. The key is finding the right one. Until next time, thanks for watching.